It's fucking pumpkin spice season, bitches!
You know, I used to hate pumpkin spice, and then I dated someone who was, like, a pumpkin spice, like, aficionado.
Oh.
She was like, no, you don't she was basic. She was like, no, you don't understand that, like, the pumpkin spice recipe has changed from last year. Can I say an extremist view right now?
Oh, yes.
A really extremist view?
Yeah.
I don't think milk was made for humans. I don't like lattes for that very reason.
All right, well, it's been great.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's been real great. We're, that's it. That's the Mud Peddlers. We're done.
I don't like milk.
No more Mud Petties.
Nope.
No more.
I don't like milk that much.
Okay. What are we talking about today, Donte?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We are your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
We're talking about teaching.
Oh yeah, we're talking about teaching.
Yeah, remember when I texted you last night and I was like, what are we gonna, well, no.
I gave you a list of stuff.
You texted me and I was like,
We have to record it sometime.
Yeah, we do.
We can't ignore the kids.
Yeah, because, dear listeners, by the time this comes out, I will be just a few days out of flying to Japan.
Oh.
So, so anyway, there'll be episodes.
I have to go to New York next month. It's way less exciting.
That's right. No, that's super exciting, but for different reasons.
Clayscapes, please move to Japan.
Yeah.
So I can have an excuse to go to Japan every year.
Or just come to California. I mean, I kind of.
Should we start doing our kiln plugs before people get halfway through the podcast and hear something like, I don't think milk is for people, and then turn it off?
Yeah, let's do kiln plugs.
Okay. All right, let's do kiln plugs.
Yeah. Let's do. Okay.
Why don't you talk about what you're doing first?
Wait. Hold on. So let's make it like short though. Also, I'm gonna put.
Hey,
I'm gonna keep my
short things are still valid.
Short king.
Kiln plugs.
Kiln plugs.
What do you got going on, Lindsey? Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Lindsey, you have the face like you don't.
Well, okay. So what I am, okay. So as I'll make this relatively short, but as you guys know, I have a state job now. Very excited about it. And so the only big thing that I have coming up is not until SAC Anime Winter in January.
That's a couple months though.
It's a couple months. Yeah. The plan in the meantime is honestly just to enjoy having more creative freedom. A big thing is I'm in a teapot show. I forgot to mention that. So at Alpha Fired Arts in Sacramento, there is a teapot show, and right after SAC Anime, the folks over there invited me to be a part of the show. So after SAC Anime, when I'm normally chilling and doing nothing for weeks, I did something that I haven't done in 10 years, which is make teapots.
I feel like we all learn how to make teapots at some point, and then once we feel like we've gotten okay at it, we're like, not doing that again.
Yeah, never again.
Never again.
Yeah. So that's kind of my biggest kiln plug right now. How about you?
So if you've been listening for a while to the Mud Peddlers, you'll know that every year I get a little bit closer to Clayscapes. You know, we were dating. I think we're dating now. Before we were flirting.
You're flirting. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then we went on one date and it's all good now. But I am basically going to Clayscapes in October. I should be there October, I wanna say. Oh man.
It's okay. I can't judge you for this. I'll put links in the show notes.
No, I have a picture of the thing that one of the employees made. If anyone ever went through my phone, they'd be like, wow, it's just pictures of babies and pottery.
I mean, that checks out.
Yeah, there's nothing good in here. So on October 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., I will be at Clayscapes Pottery, Inc. in Syracuse, New York. It's a mocha diffusion demo. You remember that time
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, but also I'm not sorry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, ever since I released that video, I've definitely gotten... I get a group of people who are like, nuh-uh, and then I get a group of people who are like, oh, yeah, no, we knew that, too. We were just waiting for somebody to confirm it. So I'm going to Clayscapes to do mocha diffusion. It's very easy, and I'm just going to teach that. You can sign up for it at clayscapesinc.com, I believe. I
will list links in the show notes.
Oh, you can sign up for it at clayscapespottery.com. Thank you very much,
Clayscapespottery.com, all
right, so that's where I'll be going. Right before I go to Clayscapes, I am doing a very small store update on earthnationceramics.com.
Ooh.
And I mean like 15, maybe 20 pots.
That's great. That's a decent update.
Usually they do like 40, 50, very small, right? So what Clayscapes told me is that I can bring a certain amount of pottery to sell in person, and I decided to bring all my newest pots and glazes. So like I have like my metal guru room on there, and I have like a bunch of Red Lotus there, and I have some of the Greymon V2 that I developed there, stuff like that. Stuff that is I've been working on for like the year. So those are all the pots that I'm bringing there. And so instead of like a 40 pot drop on the website, I'm doing like a 20 and then bringing 20 other pots.
Nice.
To Clayscapes with me.
Very cool.
So that's the two things that you ought to look out for if you're listening to this right now and you want to buy some of my work. Granted, I'm probably gonna lower the price when I go to Clayscapes. I don't want to fly back with the stuff, Lindsay.
All right.
I want to fly back. I want
that's
all
fair.
20 pots to sell. So they're going to be like $40 little cups.
Okay. All right.
I have a little bit of, and I know, I have a little bit of like, really? Whenever I see...
I don't think, I think we should...
I'm just saying.
No,
a $90 cup online is wild to me.
Oh my god. Anyway, all right. There's problems with that, but we'll talk about that later. Kiln plug section is over. Let's talk about teaching.
Kiln plug section is over. So I've been teaching.
Yeah.
Watermelon. Sorry, Beyonce came in for a second. I've been teaching over the past online as like a pseudo teacher and both in person for maybe like 5 years now, right? YouTube channel's been going for quite some time, but I've been doing IMCO and my other job at Sun City for quite some time now. And I've learned that the thing that I thought before is only now more cemented than I thought before. Like, I thought before, like, everybody has a different way of thinking, of learning. You can't just teach one way and expect everyone to adapt, and everyone else kind of flies off the handles. Now I'm like, oh yeah, everybody definitely thinks differently, right? I get a couple people who are just naturals on the wheel. I get some people who don't understand the wheel. There's definitely what I would say categories. Of people who kind of learn certain ways, and those ways I have to kind of adapt to. Right? Yeah. And I think one of the hardest things that I've learned in teaching is what I'm calling, and it's very egocentric when I call it this, the dad effect.
Okay.
Where like, I'm going to tell you something that is not entirely accurate, but it's contextually accurate because I know you're going to run into this problem later in the future. Yeah. So I'm just going to tell you the end of the road as if we didn't have the conversation. Like, I already did all the math. I already thought it through. Here's the probability that you're probably going to go through this thing. So I'm going to tell you the base way to do it, and then I'm going to give you all the warnings so that when you reach a bump in the road will be smoother. Okay. Here's a good example.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give me an example.
Here's a good example, one that I've been dealing with for maybe like 2 months. Okay, when you make an enclosed form, you should probably put a hole somewhere in your pottery to let the air out. Okay. Usually, people will come back to me and go, "But why?" And then I go, "Well, so it has a less chance of exploding." And then they go, "Yeah, but air doesn't explode; moisture explodes." And then I go, right, and it's a long conversation. I'll tell you this now. And then I go, right, but making a ventilation hole somewhere in your piece allows for the air to exit that vent spot, which also carries the water out as well. Right. That's, in my mind, what precipitation is. It's moisture held in air. Okay. I don't know if that's correct, but...
I mean, yeah, basically the air holds moisture.
Air holds moisture. You get air out, moisture comes out with it. Yeah. Right, so by making a hole in your work, you can help get the moisture out as well as the air. And the moisture, the water, is the thing that explodes, right? When it turns into steam, it goes too fast. Yeah. Okay? And then they go, yeah, but I saw this video on YouTube where this person let their stuff dry and it was a completely enclosed form. And then I go, yeah, but you've now changed your dry time. It's a long conversation, I'm telling you. Now you've changed your dry time from something like a week, if you control it correctly, to like 3 weeks to a month. So now you've slowed your work down.
Because instead of the air, because that little air hole would normally let that, like you said, let that moisture escape. And instead of the moisture escaping through that hole, it has to slowly escape through the entire form.
And it dries a little easier as well, right? Because usually pieces are thicker at the bottom. Every time.
I'm so sorry.
You know what's crazy is that her cell phone went off before we started the podcast, and she turned to me. She flexed. She gave me the finger a little bit. She said, my phone didn't go off, Donte. Yeah. Not during the podcast.
It's so technically that was an alarm that just went off, not somebody contacting me. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, and so we have this kind of conversation. And at the end of it, I'm like, look, just for your benefit, and mine as someone who loads the kilns, just put a hole somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be big. You can seal it up with clay when it's in like the leather hard form.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will know. Put it at the bottom. And they go, okay, there are a certain amount of people who will fight this.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go, no, I saw another YouTube video that somebody, I'm not going to do that. And I go, okay. And I just let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
From this point on, I have two options. I can either fire it and let it explode in a secluded area away from other people's pots.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the one time I'm like, I'm going to let this bad thing, the dad thing, I'm going to let this bad thing happen to you to reaffirm what I told you to do in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
Or like the other thing where I go, I'm going to have to hold your peace on this dry rack for 3 weeks to a month, depending on the weather.
Yeah.
In order to let it dry out all the way.
Yeah.
Which is going to slow your work down exponentially.
Yeah.
Right? That in a nutshell is probably the biggest lesson I'm learning right now with teaching. Is that I can either help you and tell you the thing that you need to know under context, but it's not accurate. It's not precise. It's just contextually correct and let you fail. Or I can help you do the work throughout your process and and so that's my biggest lesson right now.
Yeah, I mean, what that kind of makes me think of is so again, for some context for listeners who may not know, teaching is much less and now basically a negligible part of what I do in ceramics because, well, for a number of different reasons. But I have had some teaching experience at the local community college. I was a student assistant there for a long time, basically being a TA to the ceramics teachers there. And then I also taught a class at a local art center. And what I've been doing more recently is basically doing little mini lessons with my friends to kind of give me some practice teaching folks one-on-one to see if that's something that I would want to do in the future, which, by the way, a little bit of a side note, if you are thinking that you might want to try teaching either like a one-day workshop or a multi-week class, I would definitely recommend, having some friends over and basically just doing a demo with them. Like, because I think most folks would enjoy kind of getting to be the little experiment mice in this, minus the...
You'll learn how good your communication style is or how good your communication skills are once you start trying to teach your mom. Or your dad pottery. You'll learn your limits. You will learn your limits.
Yeah,
quick.
It's because trying to articulate verbally something that is muscle memory for you is a huge that's a huge challenge. But what you were talking about, especially with that dynamic of having the back and forth with the student, one of the things that I was really worried about when I first started teaching is or when I taught the one class at a local art center, I was really concerned about, well, what do I do if a student just like keeps asking questions? And part of the thing that concerned me with that is because of the way the class itself was structured, I had periods of time where the students were just on their own doing things, but I also had portions that were like kind of like little mini lectures / demo sections.
You got to have that.
So yeah, so just as this is kind of a small note and something that may be obvious, but especially if you are completely new to teach, like again, if you have experience teaching, you may just be like, okay, these folks are just providing a different perspective right now. But if you've never taught before, just know that it is okay in your teaching vocabulary if someone is continuing to ask follow-up questions and you're not able to keep to the timeline that you want. It is completely okay to say like, you know what, that's a really great question. Let me go ahead and finish up this demo and I will come back to you when we're on our solo working time.
100%.
Like, yeah, I feel like that is one of the most awkward things to navigate when you're teaching is like being able to have that authority. Like you have authority as a teacher. And again, maybe this is something I'm like, I really struggled with because again, like I mean, I'm non-binary, but I was like raised as a woman, female body, et cetera, et cetera. And so the idea of having that like authority was super new to me. And the idea of
really?
Like, yeah. And the idea of like, wow, I am, because again, like I had been a teacher's assistant before, but I had never been the one who was like, oh, I'm in control of everything. I'm in control of the flow of time. I'm in control. Like, so I'm in control of
nap time,
of course.
Nap time.
How I structure the class. Like it honestly took me about, I don't know, maybe 30 hours of prep time to teach or to set up a plan to teach 3 like 2.5 hour classes.
Yeah, and you have to also keep it kind of like rotating. So I have maybe like 12 lessons that I always rotate for new and upcoming students.
Wait, how do you mean? Like, okay, so let's...
So we teach centering, but like once you teach centering to your students, you have returning students, you can teach it again.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's okay, because I kind of want to back up a little bit because there are so many different teaching styles and like structures.
Yeah.
And I think so explain for our listeners who don't know how your classes are set up both at the retirement center where you teach and then also at IMCO. Because you teach at IMCO now too, right?
Yeah, I teach it. Well,
which is Industrial Minerals Company, by the way.
For IMCO, where you can sign up for the classes on the IMCO website, I mainly do wheel-thrown ceramic teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my experience, what helps a lot, if I get a new batch, let's say it's all a new batch of students, right? Mm-hmm. I say, okay, the first class, because it's a 5-class block, it's not 4, because I want one extra class to spend time with them. The first class is an evaluation class, where I say, I want to see everyone's center, because it's an intermediate class. So by the time you get to me, you ought to know how to center on the wheel. It is a wheel-thrown specified class.
Yeah.
So I want to see everybody center. I want to see everybody pull their walls. I want to make everybody just make a cylinder.
Yeah.
Because it's the basis of the majority of shapes in ceramics, right? That's what I want to see. If we have any problems from that point on, my job for the next 2 classes is to, I wouldn't say correct, because correct makes it seem like there's only one way to do it, but it's to find your weak points and strengthen them, and usually we can get it done in 1 or 2 classes. With my experience, I can go, I see exactly what you're doing wrong, let me show you 2 or 3 paths you can take to correct that behavior so you can get a more efficient pull, bigger cylinders, get your thickness correct, make sure your clay isn't as tired, things of that nature.
I feel like what can be tricky about that too, and I'm curious how you navigate this, but because you can sometimes, depending on the class, like even if you say it's intermediate, you can have someone who's a beginner. Even if you're teaching a beginning class, you could have someone who has more experience. So as a teacher, one of the things that like my mom is an educator at Sac State. She doesn't teach ceramics, but one of the things that she brought to my attention when I was like, Mom, how do I teach this class? How do I structure all these things?
Yeah.
One of the things that she brought up is like, be aware that, sometimes what can happen is whoever the least experienced person is in the class can sometimes end up getting the most attention because they're trying to catch up to the point where maybe everybody else in the class is. But the problem with that is that, then maybe the person who does have more experience isn't able to get out of the class what they want. Yeah. Because they're not the squeaky wheel, so to speak. So how do you, when you're teaching your classes, how do you balance your time to make sure that you're meeting everybody's needs in the class? Like, do you have like a mental, like in your head thinking like, okay, after 5 minutes with a student, I'm going to say, okay, I'll come back to you. Like how do you manage that time?
So generally speaking, and you're right about people, what often happens in my class is that if I get a whole new batch of students, I have everyone introduce themselves, I talk to people and I go, why are you here? What are you looking to get out of the class? We have like a 10-minute talk, right? And
do you write that down?
No, I just memorize it. My classes are small enough to where I can memorize. Okay. Like,
dear listeners, I definitely did not just keep it in my head. I printed out forms for everybody to fill in.
She got a dossier on you all.
I do, yes. No, I mean, I literally, so I printed out a sheet, and again, this is just I'm just trying to think of tips and just techniques that might be helpful for our dear listeners.
Tamra, really good at centering, needs help pulling her wall.
Yeah.
Alex is too aggressive. He pulls too hard. Samantha, just bad. Actually.
Oh my god.
Samantha will quit in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
She'll start making jewelry because she's not good at this.
Oh no. No, not even like that. Although that is a good idea. Maybe not with that much sass, but no. Like, so what I did when I had the evaluation, essentially the first class, trying to figure out, okay, what do people want out of the class? I think it was a very short, like, I think I had like 4 questions and I basically handed it out for the students. And after I gave a general introduction of who I was and what the class was going to be about, I gave people some time to like fill out those things. And I think it asked, name, what experience you have with ceramics, what you're hoping to get out of the class. And I think it was like, are there is there anything physically that I should be aware of that could impact how I teach? Because like, for instance, at Sac City, there was a student who had like arthritis or something like so
Yeah,
just are
that
there
does
things
happen.
are there things that I should be aware of on a inclusivity level? It will be like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm aware of this particular thing so that when I teach you it can be as helpful and not damaging to your body. So anyway, relatively simple, but that can be a really good way to get a sense of what the composition of your student body is. But anyway, unless you're like Dante and then you can just memorize it. But
Well, I will say, although I memorize most students, by the end of the class, that information gets washed. So, like, unless you're a repeat class taker of my class, then it's hard for me to remember your name past or before like 2 months.
Yeah.
But for that block of information, I remember what you need, how you need it, your name, certain mannerisms that might help, right? Just communicate with you in general. And then that information gets washed and we get a new like data pad next time, right?
Yeah.
But you're
By
right.
say wash, you mean basically like your brain deletes that information.
Yeah, there's a couple students I
right.
remember just because I keep in contact with them out of class because they have extra questions.
Uh-huh.
But you're right, it does get essentially, deleted. You're right in that a good portion of my students that are new that come to my class do not meet my expectations for what an intermediate potter is. And I do think that giving a pure box definition of what beginner, intermediate, and advanced is dangerous. In my mind, the lowest bar is probably where I need to meet people. Right? So, for example, if somebody comes into my class and they're like, yeah, I took ceramics in high school. I haven't done it for 10 years. My brain goes, you're probably just an experienced beginner, right? You're probably not what I consider intermediate.
Yeah, which is also where it comes down to, like, I think also helping to, as best as possible, try and help head some of that off. And again, not that this is a complete solution or anything, but like that's where coming up with the course description can be helpful in terms of, for a student who is looking at signing up for the class, that's a way of being like, okay, like this is an overall course description. These are the skills that you, if this is an intermediate or an advanced class, like these are the skills that you should be expected to do to be able to perform heading into this class. So, that's something else that can help, like the actual writing part of the class description.
I have a class description. We don't follow that. I have one. It's similar to like, here are the skills that are necessary. Here's what we're planning on learning. Usually what I do in the first class is I kind of evaluate everyone. Yeah. My goal is not, and this is what's been working for me personally. My goal is not to give you what you need to fix your problem unless it's a very specific problem. My goal isn't to meet people where they're at. My goal is to set a bar and then go at the lowest possible level of intermediate throwing. I need everyone in this class, in order to get up to the middle portion of the intermediate throwing, to be able to do at least these things. And that's in my class description.
Why do you do that instead of meeting people where they are? Because like in some ways I could see that being like, I always hear with teaching, you got to meet people where they are. So why do you not do that?
My goal is to bring you whatever you're at, whatever level you're at, to the position of the lowest obtainable level of intermediate potter. And I do that because all of the things that I teach scaffold. I cannot teach you to throw a bowl without first teaching you how to center. If you do not know how to center, my job is to bring you up to centering. You might not know how to center at all. My job is to make sure you know how to center before we leave that class. You might not know how to pull a cylinder. You might need something to be able to pull a cylinder. The lowest bar of intermediate potter, for me, one of the lowest ones, along with the skill set, is to have you throw a relatively good and even cylinder. And that's what we concentrate on for one class. Because if you can throw a good cylinder, every other shape becomes really easy from that point on.
What do you do if you have a student in that case who's like, I can throw a 6-inch cylinder, no problem?
I give them special attention. But I give them special attention in, I assume that they're just going along the course. So my teaching style is much like a tree. At the root, I need you to be able to center, pull a good cylinder, get appropriate height for your poundage, which is different for everybody based on their strength needs. And of course, I do that. What?
Poundage.
Stop it.
Sorry.
But also,
Sorry, I'm an adult. Carry on.
You're fine. And then I need them. From that point on, we're at the base. Once everybody has good roots, once everybody has like a good core, then I kind of analyze the class and go, what would be best for everyone's needs? But at the first two classes, we need to have a good base. That's what I care about.
Oh, okay.
So I think what I'm
okay.
talking about and what you're talking about are kind of similar.
Yeah.
I don't immediately go off branch. Like, I don't immediately go, oh, this person needs to pull better, so we're just going to teach him only pulling.
Oh, okay,
This person needs to know how to... We're only going to teach them how to center. We're about pulling later.
Yeah,
I make sure everyone knows how to do the basic stuff for intermediate, and then we go off the branches.
Okay, that makes sense. So you have the course description as just like a base starting point. Then in the first class, you evaluate, okay, where is everybody? Where does the bar need to be for this?
Like the first 2 classes is that.
Okay. So you're like, where does the bar need to be for this class? And then you essentially structure the rest of the class kind of based on what those needs are.
Exactly. And usually I have them take like a little vote. I go, I have 2 classes ready for you. One class is going to be this, or we can do this. Which one do you guys want?
Oh, that's cool.
And then they take a vote and they go, we want to do this. And
do you have them do that the day of the class, or do you have them like at the end of the previous class, do you ask them, okay, next time?
The day of the class.
The day of the class. Okay.
Sometimes I tell them next time, but I kind of go, it's weird because I need everyone to meet a certain bar, and if you're not at that bar, the class is very structured. Mm-hmm. We are a team. We are a unit. You need to meet this level of standard before we can move on. Yeah. Because my lesson's scaffold. I need you to know how to throw like a bowl before we learn how to do an enclosed form.
Right.
I need you to learn how to collar or choke before you can learn how to make a bottle in the first place. We might spend an entire class on collaring.
Yeah.
Right? But that, you need one skill to do the other. It's really difficult to...
Yeah, absolutely.
I had one person that really needed like really, really special attention, I remember. And he'd been throwing for like 10 years. And he came to my class and he was like, I just don't understand why my cylinders are wiggly. And the second I saw him, I was like, oh, you don't homogenize your clay. He goes, no, I wedge beforehand. I was like, yeah, you can't just wedge, though. I mean, wedging helps homogenize the clay body, makes everything even all throughout. But when you put it on the wheel, there's going to be bumps and whatnot. So he didn't know how to cone up and down on the wheel.
Oh, interesting.
That was pretty much it. He's been doing it for 10 years without coning up and down.
Interesting.
Once I taught him how to cone up and down, he was like, wow, I just paid so much money to learn how to cone up and down. He's like, I've been doing this for 10 years. And I said, it's pretty much wedging on the wheel. Most people will wedge and then they'll cone up and down. And the people that say they don't wedge their clay are just coning up and down on the wheel as a substitute. And the people who don't cone up and down on the wheel as a substitute, they wedge.
Yeah.
We do both in this class.
Yes, and I think that makes sense. And so one of the things that I'm hearing is like, okay, so how do I say this? This is a little bit of a scattered episode because I'm thinking you are covering a lot of topics that I think are more applicable to people who have taught before.
Yeah, so
like, I kind of want to like from the more beginner side of things, like, because I'm hearing the stuff that you are saying, and I'm like,
it's stuff I'm experiencing now.
Yeah, and the idea of, for instance, the day of the class being like, oh, what topic do you guys want today? The idea of that sounds absolutely terrifying because it's like, cause in my mind, again, I know we have very different approaches. And of course, the more you do something, the more flexibility you can have because you have it's like being a dungeon master, you know? I mean, it's like once you have more experience, it's easier to improvise. But one of the things that I want to come back to, especially if you are new at teaching, is like when you get to Donte's level of teaching experience,
I'm not even that high level.
You can just decide, okay,
what do you
want to learn?
I'll teach you right now.
But I think for one of the things that I would recommend if you are new to teaching is it is going to take probably 2 or 3 times the amount of time you think it's going to plan for an episode, to plan for a lesson.
No, you're right.
And I think one of the things to keep in mind with that as well is like I would recommend if you are new to teaching, the things that I would recommend you focus on the most are your communication style and structure. And the reason I say those 2 things is because I think if you have never taught somebody before, you will learn things about the way that you communicate that will become incredibly obvious. Not only about how you communicate, but how other people communicate.
You better be a little bit emotionally mature.
You should be...
You cannot... be stubborn.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that as well, like, I think my understanding at least is like one of the biggest things that new teachers struggle with is like either not knowing how to fill the time, which doesn't happen as often as more so, holy shit, where did this hour go?
Oh,
and I think focusing on like when I was structuring the class that I taught at the local arts center, again, I sat down with my mom because she's been teaching for like 20 years. And even though we teach very different things, a lot of the content was still, in terms of how you structure class, was the same. So we took a piece of paper and we like blocked it out and drew little arrows in between of like, okay, this is the...
That's cute.
It was very helpful.
Your mom's such a saint. That,
she really is. She's amazing.
I want to be a teacher. And I'm like, you'd be perfect to be a teacher. You're kind, you're understanding, you're patient, you're intelligent.
She's great.
She's just, you know.
Yeah. If you're in the Sacramento area, go take her critical thinking class or her literature for children class.
Everybody need a little bit of critical thinking.
Oh yeah, dude. Honestly, yeah, her class is great. Anyway, obviously I'm biased. Carrying on. What I think is helpful to do is actually write out, okay, and again, this may seem obvious, but write out, okay, this is going to be the introduction amount of time. These are the things I'm going to cover. Plan within each one of those blocks, like, okay, you've got like the introduction, then you have the introduction of yourself, everyone going around the class and introducing themselves, everyone filling out the evaluation form that you wrote to get an understanding of what people want out of the class. And then, okay, is there going to be a break? How much time is going to be demo versus like solo work time? Planning out, okay, am I going to answer questions as I'm doing the demo? Okay, and then if that's the case, okay, maybe I'll plan on answering, briefly, but if someone, like I said earlier, if someone asks a lot of follow-up questions, then it's important to say, okay, well, let me get back to you when we are in our solo work time. And within all of that, anticipate that each one of those things is gonna take like maybe like give yourself like a 5 to 10 minute window within each one of those things and then with that, communicating what that timeline is going to be to your students so that they have a sense of what's going to be happening, I think is also really important because that establishes not only confidence in you as their teacher, but it helps them get a sense of like, okay, like, what am I going to be doing today? Because again, a beginner ceramics class is taught thousands of places across the country. Yeah. So what can you do to make yours a unique and like satisfying experience for people, So anyway, I know we're a little bit kind of like talking in two different realms right now.
No, you're fine.
But I wanted to come back to that as a beginning teacher.
Right now. Like...
I hope so. And maybe if you're if you have never taught and you're thinking it might be something fun to do, I mean, hopefully this is helpful to consider. But anyway, just coming back to kind of that beginner aspect of teaching, I wanted to bring those things up. So again, to reiterate, the two biggest things I would recommend focusing on as you are planning to teach your first class is the structure of the class and your communication style.
Yeah, I think it's good from a beginner's point of view of teaching to have a baseline of the things that you need your students to, because you're kind of assuming that if people take classes from you and they keep taking classes from you, that you're going to need to scaffold your work, right? So having a base of like, hey, if I'm going to carry a group of high schoolers from freshman all the way to senior year, I want them to, and this might be a small criticism on my part, but in my experience, whenever I go to a beginning ceramic pottery studio place, the teacher, regardless of their skill level, will often teach people how to center and then how to pull a cylinder and maybe make like a cup. And then they're done. And then they're done. After that, they're like, you're an intermediate potter now. And unfortunately, that's not my standard. Unfortunately for me, I need you to know how to do those things. Then once you get to me, I'm like, we're going to learn how to pull an even cylinder so you don't have thick ass bottoms.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to learn how to pull a 6-inch cylinder in 3 pulls. Yeah. That's a major test for me.
And I think that's also like a good reminder that the people taking your class could be coming from completely different perspectives on what they want out of the class. Absolutely. I think a lot of people come to an intro to ceramics class basically saying like, hey, yeah, like I saw this online, wanted to give it a try. So they're probably, their goal, again, this comes back to evaluating what the student is wanting out of the experience and why you do those evaluations. If you have a student who is, you know, like, who doesn't really care that much about, like, how thick their bottoms are at this point, they just want to get their hands in clay and try something, then that's also really important to know. Yeah. Because
they just want to play, it's fine.
Yeah, which is, and because
you want to give me money to play with fancy Play-Doh.
Oh my God.
It's fine. I will teach you how to do judgy. My tone's judgy, but I'm accurate. Look, I'll teach you how to do the thing. It's fine. If you want to improve, you come back and we'll start from where you left off. That's fine. But if you just want to try it out to see if you like it, I would much rather you take a beginner class instead of do the alternative, which is buy thousands of dollars of equipment and rearrange your whole garage.
Yeah.
Because then I gotta come pick up your shit in 2 years from your garage.
When you, no, see, this is, you know how there's like, you know, the universal cat distribution system?
It is.
Where the universe will just give you cats. It's like that, like, the folks who decide to buy, like, the new kiln, the new wheel, rearrange their garage, and then maybe realize, which again, it's
really hard.
It's okay to know that it's okay to change your mind. Like, the world would be a better place if we could just admit that it's okay to change our mind.
A $4,000 change of mind is crazy.
The point being, though, what's great about that is it's like a natural recycling system of, like, that's how the young, not even necessarily the young, but like that's how the new potters who don't have the money to, you know, buy a new kiln can buy basically a new kiln.
The leftovers is good.
But the leftovers, anyway, it's a circle of life.
And you know what's crazy too is that the majority of, I wouldn't say the majority, a good portion of people who buy ceramic artwork at tables and they go, oh, this is so nice. You've met them, you know. A good portion of the time, they're like, no, I tried to do this. And it's so hard that this is actually... And most people who've never tried a ceramics art class or even tried it, they're like, that's just a fucking... like a Walmart.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, no. The other person's like, no, you don't understand. This is actually really hard to get to this level. It's worth the price they're asking for because it's so hard.
Yeah. That which comes back down to, like I always say, when you are selling your work... communicating the process behind it is incredibly important. But that's another episode.
Can we talk about the little tiny glazes real quick? Or do we have time to talk about my 2 glazes that I want to show you?
I feel like we should save that for... Well, okay, yes, but before we leave, before we talk about your little tiny cups, or tiny glazes.
My cups are a good size.
Your cups are,
My cups are a fine size.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
My wife says she likes it that size. The other one's hurt.
Ugh.
The other ones are too big for her hands, she says.
Good Lord. Oh my God, that's too accurate. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so just as kind of a quick roundup, since again, this has been a little bit of a chaotic conversation, what are the maybe top 3 to 5 things that you would recommend for people who have taught before and are maybe wanting to improve their teaching practice? And I would say the number one thing that you need as a teacher is the willingness to change your communication style. Because different people learn different ways. Some people, like myself, are kinetic based and physical based and like spatially based. Mm-hmm. So the day that my teacher pushed my hand to the clay while centering and said, that's the amount of pressure you need to center this thing. My body and my mind and my muscles went, oh, that's muscle memory. I get it now. Mm-hmm. That's how much pressure I need. Because I think when you're on the wheel, especially on social media, it looks like people are touching the clay and it's magically doing what they want it to do. Mm-hmm. But the amount of like pressure you're putting on it, not strength, just kind of like unwillingness to move against clay is far more important than anything else. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I would say your emotional communication. Like you can't take things personally. You'll lose students if you just take everything as a slight. For sure. What sort of things have you had people say to you that sound like, that have been things that have made you go, oh, I can't take this personally? I have a very bad habit of taking things too far and trying to prove people wrong. I'm not gonna lie to you, it usually works out in my favor. But people will notice, like, oh, if I say a thing, he internalizes it. So, like, the one I told you a couple weeks ago, where when I first started teaching at Sun City, somebody was like, I looked at your Instagram, all you do is make little cups and bowls. So then I made like a big 2-foot fuck-off vase in front of him, and then it changed to, well, he doesn't sculpt. And then I started to do like these Jack Egan type sculptures.
in like a smaller form. Well, they're not big. And then I start to make bigger ones. And then, well, he doesn't do what we do. We want to make animals. And so I made the sheep that I showed you. And now it's changed to, he doesn't do big. So I have to learn to stop catering to people's, because it gets, like, you saying I can't do a thing makes me want to do the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, half of my personality is, I can probably do the thing you think is fancy if you give me enough time. Right? It's not, if you can do it, I can definitely do it.
Yeah.
Right? The third one, the final one, is that the crucible of learning how to communicate and really holding a mirror up to yourself with your teaching style is to take someone who knows you very well. Mother, father is like the key, right? Like somebody who raised yours in your life, and teach them pottery. Ooh, boy. If you want to learn all your weak points in communication, try and teach your mama how to throw pottery. And it's infuriating because they talk and communicate just how you did because they probably raised you. So you get to be like, oh, I'm so frustrated with you. But also you are saying the same shit that I would say to me in this situation.
Also, they can give you honest feedback.
Yeah, because they're your exact mirror. They like, the way you walk is like them. You know what I mean? So those are my 2, and then 1 personal. Not that I've taught my mom how to throw. I'm just saying. I've tried to teach someone close to me how to throw, and I'm like, oh, this is... I'm fighting myself right now. And I'm getting infuriated at the way I communicate, because they communicate exactly how I communicate.
Yeah.
Because they raised me.
Right.
That's the thing.
Oh, I love that.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Like, you can't escape from that. You can't go to your friends and phrase the story in a way that, like, makes them to be the bad guy. Like, that's you, dog. That's you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
that's
love
it.
That.
That's
I love that. I really like that. Well, I'd say for the things I would recommend, and again, like this, this may come off as like hypocritical because it's like, well, I haven't done that much teaching, but like from the experiences that I have had teaching, I would consider myself a new teacher for sure, and I would say the things that I would want to focus on, and that I would recommend for other new teachers to focus on is again, plan more than you think you're going to. I would recommend like overstructure it, like get really detailed.
Yeah.
But then also know that it is probably not going to go exactly according to plan. But I think especially for things that we are really experienced with, like if you're teaching ceramics, you probably are decently experienced with ceramics. But that does not mean you are experienced as a teacher with ceramics. So if you go in there thinking that you will just be able to, oh yeah, like I got this, I'll just explain it, it's fine. Like
no, not
it is. That way. It is not. It is.
Not
yeah, it doesn't work that way because teaching and ceramics are 2 different skills. So on that note, another thing that I would recommend, and I actually got this recommendation from, I believe it was an NPR episode, or maybe it was Hidden Brain. I can't remember what it was. But so if you are right-handed and you throw right-handed, if you have a pottery wheel that can spin in the opposite direction, do that and try and throw left-handed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because...
Open up those synapses, baby.
Yes.
Make those connections, dog.
Yeah. Well, because part of it, too, is like... So in the NPR episode I was listening to, they gave this example of having a guitar teacher try and play with the other hand. And part of what that does is it makes you more aware of what your body is doing. Because if you are experienced with like throwing right-handed, your body already knows how to move your hands. Therefore, it can be harder to articulate to somebody else who does not have that same muscle memory, that same experience, how to move their hands. But if you throw left-handed, you're basically learning how to throw all over again.
Church.
So you're reminding yourself, oh yeah, like this is what I do with my hand. This is how I bend my body or like apply pressure. And so it helps you get into the mindset of someone who is new, even though you have, much more experience. So
even if you're ambidextrous, you still have a favored side.
Yeah.
So like you are gonna have less experience on the other side.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So those are the couple things I'd recommend. And then again, just communication and structure. I feel like are the biggest things. But last little thing we wanted to talk about, completely unrelated to teaching, but Donte brought in these test tiles. So the last couple minutes, and it really has to be a couple minutes because I gotta go soon.
Yeah.
So tell us about these test tiles. What are these test tiles?
So Clayscapes has Clayscapes essentially wants more glazes, right? So I'm going to October, and part of my mocha diffusion thing is to talk about them, about all the glazes that I've made and if they want them or not. So they basically said, yeah, we'd like more glazes from you. I won't go any deeper than that. And so what I did is I created, everybody loves Lynette's Opal. It's a fantastic glaze. I love it a lot, right? My problem with it is that it has Gerstly borate in it, and that's hard to get, number one. And number two, I didn't think it was as strong as I wanted it to be. So I reformulated... essentially, and this isn't the only, like, Lynette's Opal isn't the only glaze that gets to do this, right? Lynette's Opal essentially belongs in, like, a family of glazes, or at least...
Phase separation?
I don't know if I would call Lynette's Opal phase separation. I do know that it has a lot of the markers of it. Like, it usually has, like, rutile or iron or titanium in it, and this definitely has that. But, long story short, I wanted to make a glaze that was similar to that glaze, because everyone loves it. It's a great topper and bottom glaze. But... I wanted to make it...
So you're saying it's a switch?
It is a good switch.
I'm sorry. Carry on.
You're fine. I wanted to make it without Gerstly borate. Because for a lot of people, even when I give them recipes, they're like, I don't have Gerstly borate.
Yeah.
I've essentially stopped using things like lithium carbonate and Gerstly borate because they're either expensive, we got to compete for them because we're not a primary industry. We're a crazy low percentage, right, in the economy. Or they had a hard time getting Gerstly borate because it's just hard to get unless you buy like a blend from Laguna or something.
Yeah.
So this is essentially Lynette's, what I'm going to call a Lynette's Opal type glaze, but without the ingredients that would be difficult to get.
Dude, that's awesome.
Right?
It's super convenient.
This one is, I'm trying to make a semi-matte phase separation green. And it's,
yes! Let me see.
It's really hard for me.
I know you just licked it, but I want to...
that white spot there is actually the very poor quality lemon test.
Oh.
So it leaches. It has 4% copper in it.
Wow, that's... this is just from putting...
That's 20 hours of lemon.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Different. Yeah. I've never actually seen a fail on a lemon test.
That's a super big fail.
So basically what it looks like, dear listeners, since, this is not a visual medium, is... So there's this really pretty, like, kind of teal turquoise green glaze, and then on top of it is it basically looks like someone took a chalk and drew a bunch on top of the
leached
glaze.
Hard, right?
Yeah.
And so that green, number one, is too green for me. It verges on teal. I really like this color, to be honest. It's too deep for me. I don't know, it looks like ocean blue or ocean green, and I'm just not. So I made another test. I took out 1% of copper because I think that's the problem. I will say it's a really strong glaze. The flux ratio is 0.307. It's semi-matte. It falls in the space in the stole chart that I want it to. It's good. It's tight. It has one colorant in it. It's not multi. It's not like 4 colorants to just make the color green.
Yeah.
Like a lot of weird recipes are. It doesn't have a lot of the stuff in it people worry about or anything. It's just like a base, semi-matte base with some copper. It's just too much copper. And so I'm doing another test with 3% copper instead of 4%.
Oh, okay.
But you'll probably see it on my Instagram stories, or patrons will definitely see it first.
Cool.
But those are the 2 that I'm on right now.
Yay! All right. Well, if you want to see these babies in person, maybe
read the blog. Actually,
read the blog.
Read the blog.
Read the blog. Get a pumpkin spice latte.
Read the.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Mud Peddlers. We would love to hear from you, so if you want to share your thoughts about the episodes or just see what Donte and I are working on in our studios, come say hi. You can find links to my social media at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com.
And you can visit my pottery shop or see what I'm working on at earthnationceramics.com. And you can find me all over social media at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled.
And if you want to support the show, hear some bonus episodes, and see some behind the scenes of my work, you can support me and the show at patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.